Yes. Yes, I'm recording.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see the sign. All right. Thank you. Sorry for the technical problem. Let me just switch on my camera.
Are you ready, Ifti?
Yeah, we're ready. Yeah, start. So welcome everybody. I think we have 32 participants. I guess a few more will join as we come along. So let's start. I think I just wanted to, I've circulated an agenda. So today is primarily about talking about Pathfinder and what the vision is, what the plan is, the objectives, and give a little bit of color as to what's been going on. And then I think we want to have plenty of time for discussion. We have a couple of three particular focus points as well. One is on the plan for an innovation hub incubator. Second thing is on women's entrepreneurship. I wanted to have a particular focus on that. And Bunny and Seema will talk about that. And finally is going to be a focus on how to engage the youth. And then we'll have a Q&A session. So as I said, this is being recorded. We'll share the recording with people who couldn't attend. Maybe we can start now, Bashir Bhai, with you giving your comments and welcome comments and your overview. And I actually wanted to, again, acknowledge actually this whole Pathfinder. Before Bashir Bhai starts, I wanted to give a little quick background actually behind how Pathfinder has started. And I think people think it's a very established organization, but literally it's been a month of a collective group of us, maybe 6 of us and getting broader, deciding this is something we should do. But it really started in January with Bashir Bhai approaching me and saying, can we create a business angel network to support young British Bangladeshi entrepreneurs in the UK? And we started off thinking about a funding platform. And then it's evolved from that into a much broader vision. So I wanted to acknowledge and give Bashir Bhai the credit and the appreciation for doing that. So Bashir Bhai, do you want to start by giving your comments and then I'll take over?
Yes, let me welcome everyone first, distinguished member of the Pathfinder. Good afternoon from London. It is really a great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all for this pre-launching webinar of our digital entrepreneurship platform. As you all know, our objective is to promote men and women, engage, inspire, and incubate entrepreneur in the new digital economy, and build a strong bridge and partnership platform between UK, Bangladesh. Now, thank you to you, is become is almost a world forum. I'm encouraged and motivated by our excellent team of experts whom join us to enrich and support this platform from various diversified sectors with their huge knowledge and expertise. It would be a great privilege for me to be part of this excellent and devoted team members of Pathfinders. I express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for your participation of today and looking forward for your support to achieve these great objectives we put together. I thank you again, and may I invite Ifti Islam to moderate this program, please. Thank you. You are muted, Ifti.
Making the same mistake myself. So actually, if a couple of housekeeping, if I can request people who are not speaking to stay on mute, that will reduce the interference in the background. And secondly, I mentioned in the agenda I sent this morning and this afternoon, if people can actually send their questions, comments in actually the chat, then we'll try and collate them. And then if you want to make an intervention or a comment, if you just use if you look under reactions, if you click on reactions at the bottom of the screen, there's actually a raised hand function that will make it easier for me to keep track. I'd also request Lito and Muzahid to keep track of the chats and people raising hands and bring it to my attention by WhatsApp or however, to make sure we do that. So let me start with an overview. I mentioned before how Pathfinder started. It started as a funding platform, so initially angel investors. Then we started thinking about, can we create a crowdfunding platform and what the FCA regulations are for that. And then it's evolved into something a bit wider. When we talk about the tagline, a platform for digital entrepreneurship, we decide on that just, I think, in the interest of brevity and succinctness, but actually it doesn't mean that we expect the Pathfinder to be a platform of technology entrepreneurs. I think that we have a broader vision, which is how can we help to enable, empower, and catalyze entrepreneurship within the digital economy. So it may be people who are in the restaurant sector, in other sectors, and they're using technology as a platform. So we define it quite broadly. In terms of some of the, let's say we have 4 broad goals or objectives. One is to inspire and to educate and to motivate. And within that first objective, we plan to hold a series of webinars. We do the launch webinar on Monday. We're actually going to, Bashirbai and I agreed this morning that we will hold the second webinar on April the 9th on the restaurant and food retailing sector. So that's clearly, there are 11,000 British Bangladeshi restaurants, and digital transformation. I mean, how can digital transformation help the restaurant sector, the grocery and food retailing sector emerge from COVID? So we'll be having a number of different webinars over the next 12 months. So that's one major objective. We're also planning a Dragon's Den competition. We hope to launch that in Q4 in partnership with Channel S. I think we've called it Bengal Tiger. I'm not quite sure. I think maybe the name is still open to discussion. And we'll be also creating a number of chat forums and groups. Just as an aside, we're all very aware, and certainly the leadership group is very aware that, I think we've got sort of hyperactive baby, which is our WhatsApp group. So I think most of you probably feel that the WhatsApp group should be taking a chill pill of Valium. It's like going off 100 times a day. And I think this is maybe in the very early stage and a very fast growing, organization or collaboration. What we actually plan is to have a range of chat rooms and focus groups, so that within our website and also on our Facebook page, we're thinking about the infrastructure now, so that actually if somebody is interested in women's entrepreneurship, they can post their views and share articles and stimulate discussion in that forum. If somebody else is interested in digital health or education or e-commerce or the restaurant sector or fintech, then we'll have a series of different chat rooms, focus areas, and I think that will end up being a more, let's say, sustainable and a more efficient way. Obviously, we recognize that we're getting up towards, I think, 80 plus 90 members of the WhatsApp group. It's going to, and I think after Monday it could be several hundred. So we'll find a different way to handle that. The second thing I want to say in terms of admin is that we also will create a member directory or database with email addresses, profiles, phone numbers. We will have that on the website. I think Jamal will cover that later on. There's some GDPR and other issues. So that's the broad educate, inspire, motivate as goal 1 of the organization. Secondly, we want to actually mentor and support businesses and entrepreneurs. And so the second goal is to launch a Pathfinder innovation hub, an incubator that will support new entrepreneurs. We'll give advice to seasoned entrepreneurs, and it will be a network. It'll be a combination of professional mentorship and also the network that we bring to support new entrepreneurs within the members. I think that Lita Muzahid will be talking about that later in this discussion, and we'll also bring in Shariful Islam, the founder of Bangladesh Brand Forum, who's also launching an 8-city network of entrepreneurs of innovation hubs, in Bangladesh. The third focus is on finance, which was the original idea in launching Pathfinder. So We'll be exploring at multiple ways to finance new businesses. If I can ask everybody to be on mute, please, when you're not speaking. Anwar as well, please. Then it means we don't keep flicking, the screen keeps flicking back and forth if you're not on mute. Yes, so I think that in terms of financing, we'll be also looking how best to finance new business ideas. It can be large ideas, it can be small ideas. And that may be through an angel network, it may be through a crowdfunding, a licensed crowdfunding platform, it may be through government innovation funds. So that's a third and an important focus, to make sure that digital entrepreneurs in our community have a network. The fourth, and I think the rapidly evolving objective is we initially thought about it as a UK Bangladesh bridge, and that's definitely important. We have quite a few participants from Bangladesh on today, but I think what's been very encouraging is that we actually have, it's become a global platform, as Bashir Bhai was saying. We have participants today from New York, from Silicon Valley, as well as from Bangladesh. We have participants from continental Europe as well. So I think this can, this can really be a global network. In terms of, let's say, focal points, we do have a focus on women's entrepreneurship and youth entrepreneurship, or engaging with the youth. And that doesn't mean we're exclusive. It doesn't mean that, somebody asked me the other day, well, they're in their 50s, and a male guy in their 50s or 60s, does that mean they're excluded? No, not at all. But we recognize that women entrepreneurs and the younger generation have been historically underrepresented in business networks, and that's why it's going to be an area where we devote more of our focus and relationships. One other, just to make sure I won't go on for too long, but one other thing I wanted to give is some let's say, some personal experience in the last 4 to 6 weeks about how I'm finding Pathfinder useful, and may give some food for thought for everybody else, because we have let's say, some strategic goals as an organization, and we're building up that infrastructure engagement, whether it's the webinars or the Innovation Hub incubator, whether it's funding or the links to Bangladesh and around the world. But the other, maybe less obvious aspect of Pathfinder is that it's actually a members network or club. And I think that for many of you who are here today, I think that I would strongly urge and encourage each of you to reach out to each other. I think collectively we have a very talented group of individuals already, and it will get bigger in the next few weeks and few months. And I think that people can take ideas and move them very fast through collaboration and partnership. I want to give a couple of personal examples. We have, let's say, some large projects that we're considering. We're at the very early stage. So one is a digital health platform. That Muzahid, one of the co-founders of Pathfinder, he was approached by Dr. Hamid in Liverpool. And we've also connected Dr. Shamim and Dr. Sahar from Pathfinder in Bangladesh, and also Sadaf, who's interested in genomics, from Bangladesh. So actually we've had a number of discussions, 5 or 6 already, maybe more, to launch a large, let's say, Babylon competitor for digital health project. So that's the way, through a network, we're bringing technology resources, financing resources together. We're actually developing a digital health platform. We have a plan for both the UK and for Bangladesh, and to cross-fertilize. So that's one example. Another example is we've also got some other large projects. Bashir Bhai and I were talking about Deliveroo, and can we create a Deliveroo for the British Bangladeshi restaurant community? Why is Deliveroo worth $10 billion? And British Bangladeshi restaurants, which are dominant on the high street, have no stake. Why can't we do that ourselves? We're also talking about a digital bank. So these are quite large projects, or indeed B2G for the garment sector. So these are big projects. But we're also, I've seen very quickly, let's say, very let's say, small scale projects are actually also flourishing and developing quite fast within the Pathfinder network. And it's quite a flexible and I think very informal network. And I give another example. Litu, another of the co-founders, his wife Rina is launching a vitamins and food supplement business in Bangladesh, and he's reached out to me. We've had some brainstorming. We've talked about the technology platform, you know, and that's an initial idea. Seema is interested in developing a special needs app, and we're discussing in Bangladesh to develop a mental health app. So I think the key thing is it's actually bringing together networks of people to take, it may be very large ideas, it may be very small ideas, but different ideas, and thinking about how can we leverage technology and grow that idea and develop it into a business plan, into an implementation model, raise financing and launch it. So I think, you know, what I would again encourage everybody is once you get to know everybody else on the platform is to take advantage of the networks and also all of the talent, and it may be technology knowledge, it may be business knowledge, it may be relationships, it may be government relationships. So that's all those things are important. The last observation I would make is Abdul Hamid, who's also part of our management group, he is reaching out to different government organizations in the UK, and we have government organizations elsewhere. But we shouldn't feel we're reliant on government financing or handouts. I mean, Jamal will talk about different financing in the future, but we are an entrepreneur-driven organization, and we should keep growing and moving organically and dynamically. And if we can add value to the members, the membership will grow. And if we can make an impact, that is also important. And I would also say, when we talk about making an impact, of course, this is a commercial, we do have a commercial focus. We're an entrepreneurship organization. We have Anwar Hock who'll be speaking later about youth engagement. And when I was speaking with him, Seema and I were speaking with him for a separate discussion about digital education, and how we can bridge the education deficit that's developed during COVID. We were talking about the importance of how to reach out to school children. And I think if we can try it, we will definitely be developing, hopefully, a number of large projects that several of us can participate in. I talked about earlier, but if we can also hold seminars, webinars with school children, and if we can positively motivate school children, particularly in the BAME community, who have been disproportionately hit by COVID, then I think that's also a major success as well. So with that, let me stop, and I'm sure we'll have more time for discussion in the Q&A. And let me bring in Jamal Ahmed, who's our treasurer. Sorry, actually, before I bring in Jamal, one other very important thing before I forget is we're very cognizant amongst this, let's say, Bashir Bhai, myself, Litu Muzahid, Jamal, Abdus, let's say we're an initial leadership team. We're absolutely aware that this is six men who are part of the initial leadership team. And this is an organization that's prioritizing women and younger entrepreneurship. So I can speak not just personally, but for the six of us when I say that this is not meant to be in any way an exclusive club. It's not meant to be a boys' club. We absolutely would encourage not only wider women membership, but actually wider women leadership in this organization. We'd also encourage more of the younger generation who want to participate. So when we talk about leadership or being on the board of trustees or taking responsibility for a particular area, it's also a function of how much time, passion, and energy different people have. So we have extremely ambitious and broad goals. So there's no, let's say there's no constraint in terms of the platform is very broad. So there's plenty of room for anybody to really have a big impact in our organization and take ownership and responsibility for different areas. One last thing, actually, before I forget. Let me see if I can bring up. Yep. Let me share the screen. Okay, so we have these different focus groups, committees, and Bashir and I were discussing this morning. This is just a list of 19. I've shared it on the WhatsApp group. I'll share it again. Happy to also send it by email if anybody wants. So these are 19, let's say, focus areas. So it doesn't mean that these have to be committees where everybody has to sit in a formal way. These are 19 focus areas. So I would encourage, maybe 19 is too many. We may want to cut that down to 10 or a particular number. But again, as I said at the beginning of my comments, I think what we're trying to do is to create a structure and a framework, and even a technology platform using technology, so that different people can engage in the areas that they're interested in within the platform. So do give some thought and some feedback as to the areas that that you would like. If you think that these are the right focus areas, there's too many, too little. Maybe we should drop some. We should add some others as well. So please do consider that as well. Okay, with that, let me bring in Jamal now, and to talk a bit about the organizational structure and funding. Jamal, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Ifti. Good afternoon from London. Welcome to the whole world, I guess. Thank you for joining us on this seminar. So I'm going to dive straight in to talk about how we envision that the organization would look and feel, and the structure. And then I'll go on to focus about how we plan to generate revenue streams, as well as deliver services to the community and to entrepreneurs and business ideas going forward. So I'm going to dive into a PowerPoint slide. Just bear with me. Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet. But Bashiba, do you want to just allow screen sharing?
Okay, can everyone see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see now.
Right. Okay, so I'm here to primarily talk about organization, structure and governance, but just like the rest of my colleagues and yourselves, I'm just as passionate about what the journey that we're about to embark upon. My background is in business, but I really get energized by the fact that there's so many people here with so many ideas and thoughts and vision, that if we can bring them all together and they can all touch each other and feed off each other, then it'll be a great, exciting adventure. So, but as I said, before the adventure starts, you've got to do some of the boring stuff as well. So I'm going to dive straight in. Okay. So first of all, we wanted to determine what type of legal entity we wanted to be. And in the UK, there's primarily 4 main types of legal entities for our organization. One is a limited company that many of you have started up. Another one is a CIO, which is a charitable incorporated organization, community interest group, or a business partnership. From discussions, we have highlighted that it's a community interest company that we would like to create. The reasons behind this is the fact that it gives us versatility to not only conduct business activities, but also to conduct social enterprise activities as well. There's different pros and cons to each of the different main entities, but with regards to a CIC, it's effectively a limited company that focuses on social activities. And there are certain constraints that it is not a profit-making organization, that we have what we call an asset lock, so that whatever income or profits that are generated in the organization, it's kept within the organization and not distributed to, you know, shareholders or members. Okay. So the steps to create a CIC, okay, community interest company. First of all, we've agreed that the name would be Pathfinder, and we need to come up with a community interest statement. So this is like a business plan. For those of you, you know, who prepare business plans. I mean, my whole life seems to be building business plans all the time. But a community interest statement with regards to what activities and services we're going to provide to the community, and how we're going to fund it, how we're going to raise it, and how we're going to ensure good governance. There is a specific, what we call an asset lock declaration that all members have to sign, which is to say that, you know, any profits or income or assets that we acquire within the journey of Pathfinder, it is locked and maintained within the company and not used for profit purposes. We have a constitution, which is similar to articles of association for a company, which just gives a board structure, framework, how we operate. And we'll have a members list. Now that members list would include the voting rights. For example, one vote, one person, whether they have the voting rights to elect board members and people who sit on the trustee panel. Okay, it's advisable that as we progress, we do hire an accountant, maybe not to set up the CIC, because I believe if it's mentioned that we have some members who have actually done this already. So maybe they could share their knowledge, which means that we wouldn't need an accountant. But eventually, we would need, you know, a chartered accountant to maintain our books, although it's not mandatory, but it is advisable, especially when we start to talk about governance. If anyone wants to know further details about it, you can just either do a Google search on CIC creation or just go to gov.uk and you can get full details there. So what would be the next steps? I mean, the first thing is we'd have to assign an individual or group that will set up the CIC. We'd have to prepare the required documents. There's some prerequisite documents that are required, and they would have to be submitted to Companies House before we are approved CIC status. Obviously, we'd have to give a deadline when we're going to accomplish this. That would lead to opening up a bank account in the name of Pathfinder, whereby we can then move on to the next step, which is, you know, establishing a membership fund that Ifti alluded to earlier on. Right, from the organization model, specifically, I've started from the grassroots level because we view ourselves as being inclusive. Everyone has an equal voice and equal right. No one should dominate, not only the discussions, but also the organization as well. So I'm starting from the grassroots. So everything starts from the Pathfinder members. Those members then decide one vote. We decide upon a board members, and from those board members, we select a CEO chairman. And against and around that structure, we will have trustee members. Now, if you mentioned that we could have different focus groups. Now, these could be, you know, these could be organized by the trustee members or the board members, but trustee members are there to ensure that whatever direction the company takes, it's within the mandate of our articles of association or our mission statement. And obviously we'd have an advisory panel to guide us through our journey. These could include eminent business people, eminent community activists, legal professionals, and, you know, accountants, financial experts, just to guide us on how we conduct our business, how we procure funds, etc., that I will touch upon later on. Moving forward, so what's going to be our revenue model? There's various sources. One of our key things is membership fees. So we envision an idea where each member would contribute an annual subscription. This is open to discussion. We have an idea in our heads, but I think Ifti will probably take this up separately to discuss what that fee would be. But it should be something that is affordable to everyone, regardless of their background. Also, there'll be private sector donations. I've already, to be honest, tapped up my business colleagues and say, now it's time to dig deep into your pockets and do something that really counts to help the community. So private sector donations. We then move on to government funds and grants. I believe we have members who have already achieved funding from the government sector. So their knowledge will be invaluable moving forward. And also institutional funds and grants, whether it's, you know, the EU, maybe World Health Organization, et cetera, et cetera. So you need people who are experts in this area, or to actually take on board consultants who have built business plans to get funding in these particular areas. Okay, so once the acquisition of these funds have been acquired, it's there to basically deliver services. What I liked about Pathfinder is, as I said, it brings together different groups of people. So there might be certain people who focus purely on the commercial side, which is fine. But you know, from my point of view, I'm looking at the community side. So, you know, it's something I've never done before, but I'm really interested in how we can reach out to those who we could actually motivate, inspire, and catalyze to develop new ideas, plans, and bring it to fruition. So the services we're looking at is, first of all, there's a knowledge area, which is webinars. We will have chat rooms, both public and private. So public will be general themes, but as and when ideas consolidate around certain individuals, okay, who will be in the members directory, they can create their own private chat rooms to take particular projects forward. So this can be in any sphere you'd like. It can be community, it could be global, it could be private, public, etc. It's up to the individual to get together a team using the member directory and bring them together, and using Pathfinder Hub as a platform to bring them all together. Okay, obviously we'll also have outreach programs, if you touch upon them, whether it's going to schools, colleges, or the community in general. We'll have mentorship programs. So those of us who have started businesses, maybe would like to give time to you know, nurturing the next generation of entrepreneurs. We could introduce startup investment as well, whereby, you know, different ideas that have been vetted and filtered, maybe we could raise funds for them. Maybe we could give them funds from our accounts. If you mentioned upon Tigers Den, this is also linked towards the knowledge transfer. And workshops as well, both virtual and physical workshops as well. So the whole idea is to have good governance, so we can approach organizations, individuals, to say that, okay, you can trust that we will manage the funds properly, and it will go to those who deserve it and need it. And we have good governance and transparency. So that's my discussion, end of my discussion. Thank you for your attention, and I'm going to hand you back over to Ifti.
Okay, thanks so much, Jamal. I think that's, you can stop sharing screen. Yep, great.
Okay, once I figure out how to do Zoom, I will do that.
Yeah, just go down to just stop sharing your screen. Just go down to share screen.
Got it.
Yeah, great. So thank you. I think that's yeah, the actual, let's say, the, you know, creativity and the big picture is important, but actually organizational structure and robustness in the governance framework is also extremely important. And the financing, I think that at the moment we have in mind maybe £100 per year, so a very low annual member fee. Will have exemptions for students and younger people in the community. But I think that's may not be the bulk of our revenue source as an organization, but I think it's important that everybody, you know, everybody that can makes some contribution. So far as Pathfinder has evolved, we don't have a budget. I mean, we've essentially, we have a team, Tokir and Tori, who are on the call from Infinity Technology in Bangladesh, are part of our management team. Jamal, I, Litu, Mozahid, Bashirbai, and Abdus are you know, investing time and energy. We effectively developed the website, which you can see in the last 4 or 5 days. But we have to institutionalize and have a more organized structure and a funding plan. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to scale the organization. So let me now ask, let's move on to some of the subject areas. And thanks for everybody for listening patiently. We will have plenty of time for Q&A afterwards. Now, I think we can move on to Litu Muzahid and Sharif, are you there from Bangladesh? Let me just check.
Yes, yes, I am.
Well, okay, so I think that maybe if we can keep this conversation to, so 10 minutes, we will have, I mean, each of these next 3 sessions, so the Innovation Incubator, the Women's Entrepreneurship, Youth Engagement, we'll be having separate full webinars on each of these topics where we'll get a chance to discuss in much more detail. But I wanted to bring in Sharif for it's late in Dhaka, but maybe you could just quickly summarize what Bangladesh Brand Forum is doing in Bangladesh, and then Litu and Muzahid can talk about their plans for Pathfinder's Innovation Hub, Incubator, and also their Entrepreneurship Academy. But Sharif, why don't we start with you, and then we'll move, then I'll hand across to Litu and Muzahid. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ifti. Hello, everyone from Bangladesh. It's a great initiative. So congratulations on everyone who are behind this, putting this together. So from Bangladesh Brand Forum, we've been working for the last 13 years and with the core thoughts of how do we help Bangladesh reach its vision using knowledge, innovation, and creativity. And over the last 4 years, we have created a platform called Bangladesh Innovation Conclave. And that's where, in fact, I was discussing with Ifti that there can be some interesting sort of engagement which can take place with Pathfinder. So under Innovation Conclave, actually, there are 3 layers of works which we've been pursuing over the last couple of years. So one is right now we are working to create 8 innovation hub in 8 divisions. So the central one in Dhaka, for which we have been working with DNCC. So a work which will start very soon. And also in 8 division, we've been working over the last 2 years with BIDA and also local sort of entrepreneurs and local administration. The objective of these innovation hubs are actually threefold. The first is we feel that we need to, before we pursue impactful, scalable innovation, both commercially and maybe socially, we need to first create a much bigger ecosystem where a different narrative of the future is presented. We have worked over the last 1 year during pandemic through virtually engaging and creating regional dialogues, where we found there is a huge gap of the changes that are happening and the key people who are sort of shaping those regional ecosystem, whether it's academia to local administration, parents, or youth entrepreneurs. So the first thing we feel is how do we update those narratives so that people are aware of what's happening, what are the implications of that, and where in each of their vantage point, what is it they do. Second is basically based on that understanding and learning, what solutions, how do you sort of apply those, look at new solutions, new approaches, and you can create business ideas. So that's one part of the Innovation Hub's job. The second bit which we are working with DNCC is to create a knowledge sharing platform with 12 city mayors. So Bangladesh has got 12 city councils and 12 city mayors to take the lead into creating an engagement of future cities. So how does these conversations actually take shape so that we can pursue creation of a equitable, sustainable societies and communities, and at the same time, which collaborates with the innovation hubs to create solutions which are needed for the future cities. So that's sort of the leg 2. And the leg 3 is through our other engagements, we actually work very closely with the academia and also industry. So in all of these, when they're happening, how does the collaboration, support, mentoring, and guidance actually takes place via the enterprises through different functional area and sectoral focus. So that also happens, but all of these are channeled via the 8 innovation hubs. That's in phase 1. Ultimately, in the next 3 to 4 years, our plan is to take it to 64 districts innovation hubs, both which will have a virtual and a physical space. So just in a nutshell, that's where I'll sort of leave, because it's quite an extensive engagement. But I think there are the other layer. Actually, I should also mention we have a very strong sort of a platform, a virtual and a physical platform for knowledge creation for youth, because which sits at the center of this transformation. And there, in order to provide the right knowledge and also help them create the new innovations or the solutions, we're also working with MOFA to create a platform called Bangladesh Professional Diaspora Forum, focusing on actually UK, USA, Australia, Canada, and also Europe, ASEAN countries, and Middle East. And collaboration with platforms like Pathfinder, I think, fits in perfectly, where all of these engagements ultimately can be taken to Bangladesh, help create new sort of solutions, so that these solutions are not actually, our aim is not to sort of pursue solutions for Bangladesh. We feel there is a huge opportunity to create solutions for global bottom of the pyramid markets. Bangladesh has the potential to become a hub for BOP innovation, blending in technology and human approach. So how these can happen, and so that Bangladesh is presented using the 50 years as a backdrop, as the next journey, blending innovation and value-centric, equitable prosperity and journey in the future. So that's briefly about what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sharif. That's thanks for being so succinct. Obviously you've been doing this a lot, so you know how to speak and get your points across in a short time. I think there's quite a few things that you've highlighted that are relevant for how we collectively could envisage Pathfinder. One, we certainly want to prioritize developing entrepreneurship regionally in the UK, so moving away from just London, so Manchester, Birmingham, Newcastle, Liverpool, Wales, Scotland, other areas, Sheffield, Yorkshire. So I think that there's been a lot of focus in the UK about Northern Powerhouse. That's the UK government's kind of core theme about technology and innovation, particularly outside of the home counties, the London and Oxford, Cambridge triangle. So I think we're trying to do that ourselves. There's a lot we can learn from and collaborate with Bangladesh Brand Forum. Secondly, your emphasis on youth. And the last thing I wanted to mention is when we think about the British UK Bangladesh bridge, many people think about, I think maybe it's a legacy or a colonial legacy or colonial mindset, you can say. So people think that okay, the UK can invest, or it's like a DFID mindset. With I don't know if anybody from DFID's on this call, but is that okay? The UK, Bangladesh is to receive some foreign aid from the UK, and that's about it. Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think that in terms of innovation, there's a huge amount that Bangladesh could contribute towards the UK. So I think in addition, I mean, if we say what are some of the goals that we should look to achieve by the end of 2021 to benchmark the success of Pathfinder beyond all the webinars and different events. Of course, we want to create businesses in the UK, but actually I think we can launch a number of businesses. Technology entrepreneurs in Bangladesh can launch in the UK in partnership with Pathfinder. In fact, I asked, maybe later on the Q&A, I'll bring him in, Deepu from Boighor, which is one of the edtech startups in Bangladesh that I've had the privilege of knowing. We talked a few years ago about launching in the UK. And I think, given COVID, that digital education and the education deficit is even more important. Again, in the interest of time, maybe we'll talk about that later. Let me bring in now maybe Litu and Muzahid. Maybe Litu and Muzahid, one of you can start, Litu maybe, and then hand it across to Muzahid to talk about the sort of vision for Innovation Hub, Incubator and Entrepreneurship Academy. Across to you.
Thank you very much, Iktivaya. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Litu. I live in Cheltenham in Gloucestershire. So the Pathfinder, the tagline for the Pathfinder is empowering the digital entrepreneurship. So our vision is to inspire, motivate, and catalyze. So the catalyzing innovation and at the same time finding out the opportunities in the digital economy. How do we do that? To empower and inspire next generation utilizing technology. Now, British Bangladeshis, and this idea was started with the British Bangladeshi, but looking at the British NRVs around the world, we don't get enough support to become a digital entrepreneur from our community. So how do we solve that? we, through this Pathfinder, we built an innovation hub, and we encourage, empower, and develop the community, young and women. Now, any migration or the communities we are, it gets, we are a very much pioneer of informal crowdfunding. And now this crowdfunding needs to be formalized. And through this Pathfinder platform, we can definitely get this crowdfunding in a formalized way so that we can actually look after the investment and develop the people as well. Now, timing is a very, very vital in that perspective after the COVID-19. So this is our time to develop this digital entrepreneurship ecosystem. So there are two business models, as Ipti mentioned. The first business model is to support young British Bangladeshis who are young entrepreneurs. So how do we do that? First, we open source the ideas and then go through a screening process. And with this screening process, if this get filtered out, and then if that doesn't work, or there is something we need to help those entrepreneurs, we put into revision box. And after that screening is go to a startup clinic. And that startup clinic is a 6-month residency program that provides a graduation program. And at this level, an entrepreneur, a startup founder could get a certificate, and that certification will enable them to encourage and then go and seek for other opportunities. If the ideas filtered and we understand that it works, and we can nurture, and based on our research, we look at 1 out of 20 ideas that can filter through and then come to the next stage with a one-to-one membership. And then followed by that goes to an investment roadshow, the Dragon's Den type of a reality TV show program we wanted to facilitate. That will be looked after by British Bangladeshi angels. And at this stage, if we think it's a growth stage, then we can grow together or we can exit from that particular idea. Now, the next business plan or model should be a members to members, is a peer-to-peer network. Now, this members to members network, when we start with this idea stage, we create an MVP. So the question in that regards would be, okay, we are meeting so many of the leaders and diverse expertise we have. Can cloud kitchen model save the British curry industry? And if that is a vital question, then we create a pilot project. It's called an MVP. And then that doesn't need to go through a sort of screening process because we do that in-house, and that go through an incubation process. And the incubation, we mentor mentor and foster the idea as well as the people involved with this. And that goes through a couple of angel investment round, followed by an acceleration. And then if it's a growth or exit from there as well. So that is in total a business model. However, this is a very organic start, and we will fine tune as you go along. So that was the understanding we created. Over to you, Tibai.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bring Muzid in now as well, but I just wanted, so one idea that Litu shared with me, and maybe in the interest of time he didn't mention it, but it may be that I mean, Litu mentioned that he's working with the Gloucester Growth Hub, yeah, if I can just request people stay on mute when they're not speaking, thank you. So I think that as far as the Gloucester Growth Hub that Litu is working with, he's already spoken to one of his mentors in the Gloucester Growth Hub who may raise funding, who's interested in working with Pathfinder now, and will look to raise UK government funding for innovation, which he's already doing, and he will then use that funding to also develop and engage with Pathfinder. Is that correct, Litu?
That is indeed. So when we receive an idea, we need to go through a step-by-step process. So what we do, we create a business model canvas. In that business model canvas, we got 9 segments to understand a customer value, followed by 1-pager. And that 1-pager and business model canvas together enable us to understand the market, understand the product, understand the proper value proposition to our customer. And that has to go through digital learning process. And we wanted to encourage all of us, if we have an idea, absolutely fantastic, but it has to go through a step-by-step process to validate this idea. And that can be a knowledge hub on there as well, on our Pathfinder website.
Okay, I think that's great. So let's now move to the second focus area, which is women's entrepreneurship. So I'm going to first have it's probably one of the most important areas, I'd say, and actually, as we've had more and more members join, again, very cognizant when there's been let's say the number of female members that are joining have been relatively few compared to the number of male members joining. So that, I think, reflects a broader structural problem or challenge, but I think that we have to develop Pathfinder with that in mind. And so let me hand across now to Nusrat Mirza Bunni to share her thoughts, and then after her, Sima Islam will speak.
Oh, thanks, Sifty. So good afternoon to some, and good evening to our colleagues in Bangladesh. Well, my name is Nusrat, and I also have a nickname, Bunni, so a lot of people know me as Bunni. And I have a design business and a business in healthcare, both in the UK and in Bangladesh. I'm also in the board of Bangladesh Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industries, which is based in Dhaka. And that has basically, we deal with a lot of women entrepreneur members. So being an entrepreneur myself and being exposed to other members through BWCCI, I have basically come to see or have been exposed to a lot of challenges that they face. And what I've done today is just, created some crude slides, which I will share with you. I'd like to share with you, but you are most welcome to jump in and share your ideas and thoughts about what you think women entrepreneurs face. And it would be nice to hear it from men, because I think men have a good idea about what women entrepreneurs, what kind of challenges women entrepreneurs go through. So what I will do is, I know Seema is with me today. We are both basically sharing this, and I would like to tell you that I'd basically be a facilitator and get your ideas as well as giving some of my ideas. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. Let's see if it works. Can you see? Can you see? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. So basically, we are looking at strategy to prioritize women's entrepreneurship. And some of the problems that I feel that a lot of women face are the typical problems are the challenges of balancing work and family, for example. So, and women take charge of parenting and also take responsibility of elderly care, in addition to their daily chores of cooking, washing, etc. The next challenge that women face are the lack of networking opportunities and mentors, and of course, limited access to finance. Now, basically, how do we go about mitigating these? So we identify the problems, but how do we solve them? How do we help women entrepreneurs sort of come forward and take on responsibilities as entrepreneurs? So basically, in terms of balancing work and family, as we have noticed, especially during these COVID times, that technology is really running at the speed of light. And we have all realized that much of the work can be done from home through digital means. So some of the decisions and actions by women can be facilitated through digital means, while being responsible for family commitments as well. And there are many e-commerce digital platforms that are being used for buying and selling that women entrepreneurs can take advantage of. Just to give an example here of Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, who is worth about more than $50 billion now. He actually started off from behind a screen while he was a student. So, staying behind a screen and taking advantage of digital and technological, means can, make people very successful. In terms of networking opportunities and mentors, I think we have found the perfect platform, in the form of Pathfinder, which is an initiative we have taken, and which has, a pool of talented and resourceful people from all over the world. And, this platform can actually help women to get access to resources, to grow their business, and introduction to new people and concepts. And in this platform, women can also bounce their ideas so that they don't miss opportunities. And this, the Pathfinder platform can help them do that. And I think women would find, more empowered if they have a supportive community to lean on, and by tapping onto the resources that this platform has to offer. So these can really open up opportunities for women. And in terms of limited access to finance, we all know that this is really a worldwide problem for SMEs, for small and medium-sized enterprises, where both men and women suffer. But women more so in their, sort of ability to access to finance. And that's because banks find it difficult to lend, because they find it risky to lend to SMEs who in most cases lack documentation of their financial and operational records. So as part of BWCCI, I've always actually taken an interest in sort of helping how to access, how to make it easier for our women members to access finance. And we obviously want responsible members who also become responsible borrowers and are able to return the loan or give back the loan to the banks. And that sort of creates a sustainable trend in the society. So, so what I've done is actually, I've been very fortunate to be involved in the last year or so with the financial literacy tool, which actually helps improving SME financial literacy and record keeping without actually requiring them to learn accounting. This in turn helps banks to attract and retain new SME customers and assess their credit risk. So we at BWCCI, we are actually rolling out a training program with this financial tool at the end of this month of March. And then this will also be rolled to other advocacy organizations and banks. And I'm happy to share this digitally enabled financial literacy tool with the Pathfinder groups and any potential entrepreneurs that we have and potential entrepreneurs that will be joining us.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just in the interest of time, if I can, what I'll do is actually, Arju needs to leave at 5:15. So I'm going to bring him into, so if you can stop sharing your screen, I'll bring
Yep,
Arju
yep.
in. Thank you.
Okay, yep.
Thanks, Bunya. In fact, I'm going to bring Seema in. I just found out Arju has to leave in 5 minutes, and I wanted to get his
Okay,
input. So I'm
okay.
going to bring Arju in just to make some comments about youth engagement and about schools, and then we're going to come back to the women's issue with Seema, and then we'll move into the Q&A. So we'll actually, maybe that will be a good segue for people to give their thoughts on the women's entrepreneurship. So Anwar, do you want to jump in? I know you have to leave quite soon. But another very important area, in addition to women's entrepreneurship, I mentioned is how to engage with not just youth entrepreneurship or young entrepreneurs, but also how to engage with the younger generation to positively motivate them. And that may be to pursue their career goals. It may be also to understand technology, to see different, I mean, it may be a brighter future. So Arju, Anwar, sorry, do you want to jump in and give your thoughts about how Pathfinder can best engage with schools and with the younger generation? And then I know you have to go, and that will be I think women's entrepreneurship and youth engagement can be a good starting point for the Q&A. So we'll move into the Q&A after you speak, Anwar. Anwar, across to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Super. Okay. Thank you very much for the invite to Pathfinder, and what wonderful work and everyone is doing at the moment. My name's Anwar Hack. I am currently assistant head teacher at a trust of schools within London. My background is in education, and mainly in computing and ICT in education, and it has been for over 30 years now. My other main interest of recent, however, and part of my role is to monitor closely, undertake necessary research in global computing skills required for children, generally in secondary education level, as well as the education skills deficit, and of recent, mainly as a result of COVID as well. As we know, many things have been uncovered as a result of COVID in terms of what we have in terms of computing and ICT, what capabilities we have, and as well as what the challenges are in the use of computing and ICT. My interest lay mainly in delivering computing, computer science, ICT, digital skills within secondary education. These are delivery mechanisms developed so as to create a smooth transition, not just during a student or a learner's education during secondary education, but to ensure that there's smooth transition from Key Stage 2, as well as it's designed to make sure that there are relevant and accessible pathways into Key Stage 5, which is A-level aged students as well. Naturally, in all areas of post-academic education sectors and infrastructure require people, or our young future leaders and managers and skilled workers, as well as non-skilled workers who have relevant computing skills and knowledge. Granted, some of those sectors may need the computing skills and knowledge in less stages than others, but they all do nonetheless in some point within the supply chain. In the midst of the development stages of computing curriculum for the future, and these are computing curriculums that need addressing for current skills as well as future-proofing skills. There should be focuses on teacher training, supporting skills gaps, and as well as the subject expertise gaps that may be that need improving, with focus on how we educate and skill our current and real industry skill in terms of how we educate and skill in terms of how we educate and skill, making sure that the skills are real and current for industry. So there's many elements and many facets to the work that I do, and I hope very much so that this can lend itself well to the longevity and fruitfulness and the success of Pathfinder as well. So thank you. I hope I haven't taken too much of your time. I shall indeed look forward to speaking with many of you in the coming very near future. Thank you. Over back to Ifti.
Okay, Anwar, thank you. And I know you have to rush off, but both, I mean, I'd say digital education is something we will, as I said, have a separate webinar about. I think it's a huge opportunity and also a very important opportunity for collaboration and cross-fertilization between the UK and Bangladesh. So whatever technology platform we develop for the UK can be used in Bangladesh and vice versa. We can also leverage resources in Bangladesh. We'll come back with Deepa and Boygor. If I can request people stay on silent, please, if you're not, Professor Masood, maybe you could be on silent if you're not speaking. Maybe now we can come back to Seema, because we had a quick divergence into the youth. I know, Anwar, you have to leave, so we'll speak again soon. Seema, did you want to just finish off your comments on women's entrepreneurship? Then we'll go to the Q&A. And in the Q&A, I'm going to start with all of our friends from Bangladesh, since it's quite late in Bangladesh. But Seema, why don't you give your thoughts on women's entrepreneurship, then we'll do Q&A.
Yeah, I'd just like to follow on from what Bunny was kind of saying. It's, similar issues. I think the barriers that Bunny mentioned previously about, lack of funding, lack of role models where women themselves actually see themselves in these role models, lack of networks, women's role at home. These are particularly bigger barriers, I think, for women from disadvantaged backgrounds. And we don't see that. We need to be able to support women from disadvantaged backgrounds and support them so that they're able to set up, because they have many ideas. They may not have, they maybe not be the lucky ones where they come from families with money or connections. And so they don't have networks. Funding is very hard for them to access. Many men who set up businesses have actually come out of a full-time employment job. And so financially, they're a little bit more viable. Whereas women in many families have not come from work, they've not been working, or it may be part-time, or maybe they've taken a career break. So I think, and also to try to boost these women up into senior roles so that the women coming behind them who are coming from disadvantaged families can actually see a role model that they can follow. They actually see themselves in that person, where they see them coming up from quite poor families, but they can make that success happen. And I think this platform has so many talents and so many resources. I think it is important that we actually really try to focus on these women and anywhere we can help. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Seema. So I think now we can go into the Q&A. I'm going to, I think people can put up their hands. I think the reaction function at the bottom, I've seen a few questions. So in the reaction function, if you click on that, you'll see a raise hand. So you can do that. I know there's a few people I wanted to bring in from Dhaka. One is Professor Abdul Hannan Chaudhry from NSU. He told me today that there was a Bangabandhu 50th anniversary celebration with 1,100 students that he had to supervise. So I think, Hanan, if you wanted to make any comments quickly, and then we can let you go. I'd also say for people from Bangladesh, if they have to leave early, then of course they're welcome to stay, but I completely understand it's quite late in Dhaka, and we'll share the recording. Hanan, did you want to make any comments?
No, actually, I was listening, and here I'm sitting actually to gain some knowledge. Thank you very much for initiating the organization that you all have mentioned about Pathfinder. I see that there are many things that you can actually brought back in Bangladesh through this platform, and I am also very overwhelmed by looking at how you guys are actually emphasizing on women entrepreneurship in the digital front. If I would like to share that, even at North-South University, I think you all, Pathfinder, we are going to welcome you all to come over and see that, how we actually run our startup project, what we call NSU startups. And apart from that, also at the business school, we do have funded project with City Alo, we call it City Alo, that Citibank have given us around 5 crore taka for women entrepreneurs to be trained and to, to expand their businesses. We have a project with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for the gender and technology, for one of our computer science faculty is doing in terms of giving more trainings to the women in rural setup, those who are currently using technology, sort of doing businesses and also, transferring money through technology. These women to some extent are not trained heavily, and therefore they lose money sometimes through Bkash and other digital, money transfer, So yes, we are focusing on heavily on women issues also. I think as you all have actually mentioned about your business model, and I see there are some social, goal from Pathfinder that you can do back in Bangladesh, connecting your British, Bangladeshi NRBs, we can share and we can gain some knowledge. You all are truly, truly real entrepreneurs. Many of you are in the technology front doing great businesses in UK. I, being as an academician, I would like to see that, well, you are going to bring your experience to Bangladesh, even if it is possible at North-South University through any collaborative measure. I would be actually happy to see that things. And as if that, well, nowadays, even in last meeting, I have been trying to tell you all that at the business school or even in Bangladesh in academia, we would like to see far, more involvement with the young youth students in terms of the technology front, no matter it is in fintech or digital marketing or any other sort of technology that is going to help our students to do better job. And we can actually share also some of our success stories with you all. Bangladesh has very good projects actually that under the hands of few young youths, but they need fund. And they, as I mentioned in last meeting with you all, that 4 of our startups, they got $2 million funding commitment from global, organization. And there are another 4 is now struggling to find out, funding opportunities from overseas. They are continuously searching for that things. There are projects in Bangladesh through digital entrepreneurship that has been very successful now from North-South University. We are truly very proud to see that our young youth students are doing great job. But with you all, even as I see, I have been watching actually, last few days I have been very busy, but I have been watching your network across the world with, UK and also USA from other countries that people are chatting with you. I read all of them and I see that there are huge potential Bangladeshis, those who can share and also give many things back to their country, especially in the, youth front. So NSU is there for all of you because we are going to revamp our school in entrepreneurship front heavily and redirecting our students to tell them that, well, a jobless future is coming, and therefore you have to believe that technology, using technology front, the business should be done, and we can actually provide many services through technology. That is what is the upcoming days and the future of the businesses in Bangladesh also. So yes, we can give huge support from here also, which you can also facilitate over in UK or many other countries, because we all are living in a connected world and heavily connected during pandemic. And that's what we have learned now, how to connect people from Bangladesh, from across the world. And surely through Pathfinder, the founding body of the Pathfinder, they are going to have partnership in Bangladesh. And I myself is going to be very happy to engage myself in any way. I would be happy to do that. I'm listening actually, I'm not here to talk about, but I'm listening who is doing what and what kind of capacity or interest that you all have, I see that, well, there are plenty of you who can give many things back to your own country, Bangladesh, by connecting British Bangladeshis, and also help your community over there through this great platform. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hanan Bhai, especially after such a long day. Maybe now I can bring in, I'm just looking at who's still on the course. Actually, Sadaf, I didn't ask you, but if you want to make any comments, Sadaf from Bangladesh, don't feel obliged, but I can see you're on the call, unless she's dropped off.
No, I'm here. Hi.
You are still there, so I want to, again, I'm cognizant it's late, so let's hear from Sadaf. If you want to make a quick comment, and then we'll move to Professor Masood Khan from Better Bangladesh Foundation and some other of the participants from Bangladesh, and then we'll move to the UK participants, and then Silicon Valley. So we'll do it in order of time zone. So Sadaf, across to you.
Well, I think it's excellent for you to focus on women entrepreneurship, because I think and I think that Bunni brought up some very good points about access to finance and networks. And I think this digital medium is a great way for women to connect, because it's much easier, I think, for women to meet, people from all over the world. And obviously, access to finance is a huge problem, especially I think when you're in Bangladesh, it's even more difficult when you don't have, the kind of, a lot of women don't have confidence to think big. And so I think it's a really exciting initiative. And I look forward to hearing more. Thanks.
Okay, thanks so much, Sadaf. Professor Masood Khan from Better Bangladesh Foundation, would you like to make any comments?
Ifti bhai, yes, thank you so much. I cannot open my, camera because I'm about to sleep. All right. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I'm Masood Khan. I'm Chairman Better Bangladesh Foundation. I'm broadly engaged in investment, bringing investment from elsewhere in the world. We have signed an MOU with Bangladesh Investment Development Authority back in 24th February. So I believe that we can work together with this great team, with Pathfinder, Better Bangladesh Foundation. We can have a great partnership for sure. So with this note, I would like to end here today. I wanted to listen on more. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Masood Bhai. And also, as I said before, for the people in Bangladesh, we would take no personal offense if you had to drop off and actually sleep, since it's quite getting quite late. I know Bangladesh, although I know Bangladeshis sleep quite late. I'm always astonished at how, I mean, the capacity to eat, not sleep late and eat dinner late. These are the two, I don't know, national traits of Bangladeshis. Yeah. So let's get some more comments from Bangladesh. I can see Omar Khan is there, and also Rizvi, and Nusrat I can see as well. But maybe Rizvi or Omar Khan, you want to make any comments?
Maybe I'll start. Hi everyone, whoever's here. My name is Rizvi. I'm based in London.
You don't look like you're based in Bangladesh. You look like you're based in Henley, like you're looking at the regatta or something like that. So I can tell you're an Oxford lawyer, I think, by the way you dress, probably. But yeah, go ahead.
Hello, I'm like yourself. Yes, I'm based in London and in Dhaka, and Masood Bhai, who just spoke, he's also a colleague in a sense. I'm with a law firm, legal counsel, where I'm a partner in development, and we've got an MOU with BBF, so we're working together as well. I just want to make a short comment on, obviously this is quite UK-centric, I do realize, with regards to empowerment of youth, women, younger people, third generation Bangladeshis who may not have access to the entrepreneurship line. And this Pathfinders could provide a very good mentoring and guidance and perhaps crowdfunding and all the things needed on the first steps on the entrepreneurship ladder. But having seen how in a very short time, the way organically the Pathfinder membership has grown quite globally, and that will only increase over time, I believe that the member to member, I think, I forgot who it was who was giving the presentation, that one of the areas could be member to member interactions, which could also lead to the development of chat rooms based on certain projects where people from the member-to-member directory can conglomerate around, irrespective of where they're from, which country they're from, more based on the idea and possibly obviously with the technology focus. And I think that will be very, very useful, and it's very exciting to know that that possibility is being opened by this Pathfinder organization, which will not only help members to members, just like a members club only for their own benefit, but this will also have a positive externality with, again, the targets of the organization with youth, women, and giving access to NRBs around the world to do join in the path of entrepreneurship, and also possibly contribute to Bangladesh as well, everybody's motherland of this group. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. And we can go to Omar. Did you want to make any comment? Another lawyer in Bangladesh?
Hi, thank you very much, Ifti Bhai. I'm Omar Khan. As I said, I'm a lawyer from Bangladesh. So I'm just following the discussion, and it's amazing. And I was also following how it organically grew. And I was also amazed to see that so many Bangladeshis are doing so many great things there. So I just hope that the founders of Pathfinder, what they have done, that will be very successful. And I'm sure that from the Bangladeshi side, we'll be able to do a lot of collaboration in this matter of bringing success to the ventures. So it's a pleasure meeting all of you. Good night from my side. Thank you.
Thanks, Omar, and thanks for being so late. Maybe now I can bring in Shamim Talukdar, Shamim Bhai, who's the founder and CEO of Eminence, which is a health and social development NGO organization founded in 2003, and Shamim Bhai did his master's in public health, University of Oslo. We're working, as I mentioned at the beginning of the discussion, very closely on looking for digital health opportunities in Bangladesh, but also connecting to the digital health platforms in the UK. So Shamim Bhai, did you want to make any quick comment?
Yep, thank you, Ifti. I think that this Pathfinder is a great starting in terms of the people I saw during the last few days, and enthusiasm among them to do something together. Personally, I like to thank you for taking this type of initiative, which is very important. If you look at our economical development, as Bangladesh is now no more a least developed countries, it is now become recognized as a developing countries. And if you look at our GDP growth, as well as the health status, during this pandemic situation, there's lots of things we can do in terms of human health perspective as well as economical development perspective. As I'm a medical doctor, and I did my education in the public health, and my focus on the health, nutrition, as well as the social development. I hope that I'll get scope to stay with you as well as with Pathfinder to take forward of all the activities you want to take. And but one important issues that still we are one of the undernutrition world highest undernutrition countries, as well as we also have the overweight related problem like non-communicable disease, diabetics, hypertension, and cancer. As lots of people here, those are interested to invest resources in Bangladesh, I think that health sector is a potential area where you can think and contribute for achieving our liberation world's dream within few days. Thank you, Ifti, again for giving me the opportunity to talk here.
Okay, thanks very much, Shamim Bhai. Actually, while we're still on health, Dr. Mushi Khan, who's, he's in the UK, so I'm breaking a little bit, we'll come back to Bangladesh, but Mushi is a very eminent doctor. He's a former president of the Royal College of Medicine. He's currently a also a fellow Royal College, an examiner of the Royal College of Physicians. He's a consultant physician in the UK, and he is working, as I mentioned, with us on the digital health project in the UK, but he's also very committed and passionate about improving health in Bangladesh. So Mushi, did you want to make a quick comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when I came to Bangladesh just before the pandemic, I wanted to set up a center for the Royal College of Physicians exam. I needed some more local contacts in Dhaka because the Royal College of Physicians was very keen, because if you look at India have got 8 centers, Burma have got 4 centers, Sri Lanka has got 1. They tried to set up some centers in Pakistan, but because of the political situation, they've now just focused on Karachi. I just wonder, through our group, is there any opportunity that we could have the MRCP exams in Dhaka? Can the group help me? Because obviously the Royal College of Physicians are very keen that if we have the MRCP exams, then there could be a two-way relationship between Bangladesh and UK for doctors training, the training for the junior doctors, the students. We could start a program, but we've not been able to proceed because I think there's a bit of a resistance from the most senior doctors who I think feel a bit threatened, because they feel that it'll affect their private practice. And I think they feel that it'll compete with the local FCPS exams. So I just wanted to open this up to the group, what the group think, and whether we need to sort of discuss this perhaps more formally later. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mushi. I think that we can certainly have a separate, maybe a smaller group discussion. But I would recommend that we set up a call with Dr. Shamim, who has extensive contacts with the health ministry, but also with the doctors' associations there, so we can try and find the right way to connect resources from the UK health resources and expertise with Bangladesh health system in a collaborative way, non-threatening way for existing doctors. So we'll set up a separate call from there.
I think if you just to say that, I did my medical training in Dhaka from Dhaka Medical College. So the system is very similar. The standard of education in Bangladesh is very high. The classroom-based education, but the practical education was lacking when I left, certainly, because of a lack of sort of practical sort of skills. And it's a question of how we can bring that standard up to the UK level. And I'm very happy to contribute and help.
Okay, thanks so much, Mushi, and thanks for taking time out. I know how busy doctors are in the UK at the moment. So maybe now we can come back to Dhaka. I can see Zia Ashraf from Chaldal is on. Chaldal, as I mentioned in the message, is one of the real e-commerce success stories in Bangladesh. Zia, did you want to make a quick comment? You're the COO and co-founder.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. And I'm saying all because I guess we have a lot of international audience here. So I am from Chaldal.com. I am one of the founders and CEO of Chaldal. Chaldal is a grocery e-commerce in Bangladesh. We serve 5,000 orders on an average every day. And I'm happy to be in this Pathfinder group. I hope to learn from you all how we can collaborate and work together to make a good collaboration between UK and Bangladesh. So I'm listening to all your stories and I'm very delighted to be here. So thank you very much. If there are any questions that you want to address towards e-commerce, then I think I would be able to answer those. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zia. And we'll definitely, we're going to have a separate webinar and focus group on e-commerce. And I think some of the, let's say, just-in-time management and small warehouse innovations that Chaldal is doing, I think they can actually be implemented in the UK. So that may be another area that we can look to collaborate.
Yeah, sure. To give you a small idea, right now we operate from 16 warehouses, small warehouses across Dhaka city to cover Dhaka, and we have recently launched 3 more warehouses in Chittagong to also support Chittagong. And we are opening 1 warehouse in Joshore to support Joshore city in Bangladesh. So thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much. Is there anybody else from Bangladesh that wanted to make an intervention or a comment? Because again, I'm cognizant it's quite late there. And then we'll move on to some of the UK participants. Anybody from Bangladesh that hasn't spoken that would like to make a comment? Nope. Okay, so let's move now to the UK. Maybe we could start with Nofal Zamir. Nofal, would you like to make a comment?
Hi, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of this. We have been talking about something like this for some time for the third generations, and what I have learned from today's presentation is just amazing, brilliant. Love to be a part of this, and will certainly do whatever possible. One thing in particular I really liked and really looking forward to and quite excited about is we always think that things are going to flow from the West to Bangladesh. But I think it's time for things to flow from Bangladesh to the West, because, you know, things like Pathao, Chaldal, all these brilliant things, these are happening in Bangladesh. They're quite exciting, to be honest. And there is a room for exporting these to, maybe not in the UK, but definitely in Africa, Latin America, a lot of other places, which will be very much possible to be done from the UK platform rather than sitting in Bangladesh. So yeah, I think there is a lot of excitement, a lot of things to be excited about. Extremely excited and love being a part of this. I'm very happy. I would be happy to participate in any which way and give time. Not necessarily being a part of the structure, but happy to give time and be a part of this movement. Thank you. Thank you to Iftibai and the team for doing something like this. Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Nafal. And maybe now Sheikh Ali Rahman from London Tea Exchange can make a comment, then Muzahid can jump in from our core team.
Yeah.
Ali, do you want to?
So, good evening to everybody globally. I won't take long at all, Iftibai. I think it's a great initiative, and it's good to be able to connect with so many people. I'm about the women's entrepreneur element. We do stuff around the world, and we've done it for the last 5-6 years now, and we're supporting lots of women doing small projects to stuff that's going globally now. So yeah, happy to contribute. As Nofalbai said, there's lots of interesting stuff going on in different parts of the world, especially in Bangladesh, and I want to see some of those ideas turn up into the UK and further afield. So happy to contribute whichever I can. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alior. Maybe now, Muzid, do you want to jump in and give any? I guess you joined a bit late, but because you're on a course, but appreciate you joined. So, did you want to make any comments, or maybe you may not be aware of what's already been discussed, but I think would you like to say anything, Muzahid, and then we'll bring in some other
Yeah. Thanks, Ifti, and thanks to everyone who's joined from various parts of the world, and of course my apologies for joining late due to an intensive course I'm on. However, I'm not going to repeat anything that anyone said because I've not heard what you said. But all I'd like to say is that we're on a journey. We've got a fantastic vision. We've got an excellent core team, as well as an excellent group of people who have joined. And we can only excel with the excellence that, you know, is in this room, and more people that are going to arrive here. So of course, they explained right at the beginning, and as our team members have also explored, if we can't do it, then who can? So let's take that on board and let's go forward post-COVID, digital economy, and everything else that's been discussed. So thank you, Ifti.
Great, thanks, Muzahid. I think now we have a few other people from the UK. I mean, maybe Professor Sanwar Chaudhry, maybe you've just come back from Bangladesh. I think you were quite energized and enthused. and then maybe also we can get Mahtab Mia and also Robin Chaudhry to also give their comments. But go ahead.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Professor Hannan, it was very good meeting up with you at South University. I think you're running
Yes,
a wonderful campus.
I enjoyed your meeting. Yeah.
I think it's a very endowed facility in the heart of Dhaka. A lot of institutions are moving into Bashundhara. So I think we're going to have Innovation Hub coming out in all sorts of form from Bangladesh soon. So watch this space. Wonderful to meet everyone. I think this is a really high-powered group that cuts across countries, continents. And I think if, as Mujahid Bhai just said, if we can't do something that galvanizes and builds bridges, then who can? I think it's wonderful that we have started this process off. It would be great to see us honing in on certain issues. One of the things that I've learned in my short lifetime working across different countries is that a lot of knowledge is already known. We don't ever do anything new. We only do things that somebody else has done, but if we can do it better, then we can succeed. So even the iPhone that we use isn't original. It was already, the technology already existed before. It's just that they got to put it together in a form that caught people's imagination. So what I suggest to everyone is not to, we can't change the world overnight, but we can make small changes. And those are the things that we need to focus in on and hopefully bring about something substantive within a very short period of time. Good talking to you all.
Okay, thanks, Sanawar. Robin, did you want to make any comment? Robin Chaudhry? Don't feel obliged. Let me see if he's still on. Yep, Robin, you're on.
Sorry, I apologize for that. Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to be present in this forum. I've known you for some time and regard you as an established ambassador to be a forefront for this organization. I do see that this can be considered to be a movement and a forum and a bridge. The bridge being that there is many opportunities in this country through different generations. Our generation obviously is here, but the younger generation who I think there will be a slight dilution in terms of their capability to reach into the markets of Bangladesh or to observe or understand the amazing growth and potential that exists in Bangladesh. And for all of us as ambassadors to this forum to express and energize the younger generation to embrace opportunities that exist in Bangladesh and also to capitalize on the cross-border collaboration opportunities, whether it be from Bangladesh to UK or UK to Bangladesh, or obviously we're in an international environment and network, and we can consider this to be an international opportunity, obviously, with all our colleagues at far-reached ends of the world. I think this is an ideal opportunity, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Hope I can contribute in some shape or form. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, Robin. Mahtab Mia is a senior director and advisor to British Bangladesh Chamber, and it's great also to have somebody from Newcastle, so the northeast of England. Mahtab Bhai, did you want to make any comment?
Thank you, Ifti. Indeed, it's a great pleasure, and I'm so pleased to see all these talented and knowledgeable our second and third generation have joined this platform. As my friend the chair says, it's only a few weeks, a couple of months, when we few friends, colleagues started, including yourself, Mujahid and Sarabai and Washibai. And within 8 weeks, it took place and it's becoming a world platform. So excited about it, to be honest. I'm only been so impressed about this all diversified topics that you brought in a discussion that I was really enjoying. Only things that I'm looking forward to see whether if the COVID is over, that we can meet and greet each other. And perhaps we can plan this in the summer, hopefully, if everything goes well. and we came out from the lockdown. That's all I can say at the moment. I'm so excited, and thank you once again for everybody across the globe, the Bangladesh particularly, at this time of the evening, that you have joined us in this very fruitful platform of the entrepreneurship, the Pathfinders. And we can only hope that we will go strength to strength and materialize our objectives that we have discussed over the years. Thank you. Over to you.
Thanks so much. And I think that, Mathabai, and I think that, is there anybody else from the UK or Europe, continental Europe, that would like to make any comments? And then we'll move on to our friends in the US. Anybody else from the UK that I've missed? Would anybody else like to make any comment? Nope. Okay, maybe now we can get some input from. We have Kausar Jamal from Silicon Valley. So Kausar, you can make a comment, and then we also have, I think, Naz Hussain from LA. I think unless I'm wrong, and we also have a few people from New York. So Kausar, do you want to kick off and give your comments?
Sure. Hey, thanks, Ifti. Thank you so much. Still in. We are on PST time in California. Thanks again for an opportunity to be here. As we discussed many times, that there is a platform that is needed, and you guys have created it. So from my perspective, this is KJ. I go by KJ Jamal, Kausar Jamal. I'm in Silicon Valley, California. I run an IT consulting company, global IT consulting company named Ascent Technologies, and we are in 7 different countries right now. 3 we are totally set, and 3 we are setting up. And we are also have office in Bangladesh, and we just hired a country manager and created 3 jobs in last month in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh is always in my heart. If you know that, we've been friends for many years now. It's a decade almost. So anything we can do, if you let us know from the Silicon Valley, we can connect, whatever way we can connect to Bangladesh. Any help that you need, you have it. So Pathfinder has a home and a friend in Silicon Valley. That's the message I want to give. Reach out to me, LinkedIn, Facebook, any way you want to LinkedIn. I am always, I physically live in US, but my heart stays in Bangladesh.
Okay, thank you. Actually, before we, it's Antara from the UK, no obligation to speak, but did you want to make any quick comment, Antara? I think we overlooked you.
Hi. Basically, I kind of got into e-commerce really recently. So just to give a bit of background to myself, I studied psychology for my bachelor's, and then I worked within kind of the learning disability field for a few years. I worked as a teaching assistant in a few schools. Basically, I have a brother who is severely autistic, so that's kind of why I kind of got into psychology. And after that, I worked with the NHS within child and adolescent mental health services with the learning disability teams as an assistant psychologist, where I worked alongside a clinical psychologist and the rest of my team to kind of formulate plans for the young people who've been referred to our service. But basically, since COVID hit, I've had a lot of free time on my hands to do other things and pursue other things. So one of those things was setting up an art business on Etsy. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Etsy. Yeah, so basically what I do on Etsy is I make kind of customized digital portraits in kind of a minimal style. So basically people who have like precious memories and precious photos, I kind of turn them into like fun portraits. And it's been doing fairly well. And it's been quite exciting for me to become an entrepreneur. To be honest, it's the first time I've kind of done something like this. So it's been quite exciting. And yeah, I mean, it's been interesting learning how to use Etsy and how to kind of navigate my way around it. And in terms of kind of the opportunities for Bangladesh, basically one thing I wanted to do with my business is to kind of expand from just the digital portraits but also to move on to kind of printing on physical items, so like cushion covers and mugs and things like that. And there are a lot of print-on-demand services that are around, but the problem with them is that they're a bit expensive for me to use. So by using those, I think the cost of the items would go up quite a lot. So I was just thinking that this could be a really good opportunity for Bangladesh. Would there be a way for me to get these items printed in Bangladesh and then find a way for those items to get, you know, to the UK or around the world? So I guess that's what I wanted to kind of ask and see if anyone had any ideas.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Antara. I don't know whether somebody on the call has an idea, but I think we can, you know, what I would do is we can also, if nobody has an immediate suggestion, we can set up a quick call and we can reach out to there are a range of people in both in technology, but also in design and digital marketing in the group. So we can create a quick network and a WhatsApp group just to focus particularly on your, what you're trying to do. And that's kind of how I think Pathfinder can work, you know, very, very fast. And we absolutely want to, you know, support you and see you be successful, because that's the core of what we're trying to do is to, and if we see somebody who's both young and a woman entrepreneur, then it's kind of, I don't know, it's like bingo. It's like a double win for us. So I mean, I'm personally very, very keen to make sure that you're supported and succeed. Did anybody else have any comment on that, or we can set up a separate discussion afterwards?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you set up a separate group for the conversation.
Yeah, and I think Lito was saying he wanted to jump in with an idea.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing would be to bridge a connection with, it's called Bangladesh Khudro Kutir. It's a small corporation which managed by the government, but it's looked after the handicraft family as well. And it's a very close to Etsy as well, because Etsy empowered the women. Etsy goes to the root level. It's a completely different social commerce. So it would be very interesting. I would be delighted to do that. I will share my details. Please get in touch. We'll have a Zoom meeting and I will definitely bridge some connection with that.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Great. Okay, now let's move back to Naz. Naz Hussain, did you want to make any comment?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, how are you doing, everyone? Thanks for this. I mean, I'm actually really blown away by the organization. So, I mean, if you can tell by the accent, I'm actually not from the US. I'm originally from Oldham, UK. So I actually moved to the States about 9 years ago in the midst of the credit crisis. So coming out here for opportunities. So over the last 5 years of running my own IT recruitment business focused in diversity in tech. So, you know, basically representing minorities, underrepresented minorities, African-American, Latino-American, etc., in and who are pursuing IT careers. So that's my core demographic in terms of you know, who I'm supporting in terms of opportunities in the US and matching them with startups and Fortune 500 type of organizations in the US. So I mean, I'm very close with Mujahid Sasa. I refer him to, he's my Sasa. So you know, he's when I was younger, he's someone that I considered as a mentor, and it's really amazing to see, you know, professionals of all sorts of backgrounds, and I've connected with a few people on LinkedIn already, just to see, you know, how much talent we have in our Bangladeshi community. So, I mean, one of the reasons that I'd love to join, obviously, there's plenty of people in the US that I'm going to be connecting with and speaking to, but also over the recent years, I'll be honest, I was really ignorant of the available talent in Bangladesh and, you know, what's going on there. And you know, very recently I've basically hired a few virtual assistants helping me on technical aspects, accounting aspects and things like that. So there's so much resources out there, and if I didn't have my uncle out there in Bangladesh that's telling me, you know, things have changed since you visited when you were 18 years old, I would be really ignorant of that. So it's great just to see how much tech talent is out there, how many tech businesses that are being founded there, supporting the local infrastructure of Bangladesh, and also being a new outsource hub for companies like mine in the US as well. So really interested in meeting everyone and getting to know everyone as we progress in the group.
Okay, thanks so much, Naz. I think your Oldham accent probably is very popular in Los Angeles, I'm thinking, so probably quite stylish and fashionable. So
it helps out, that's for sure.
I'm sure. They'll probably think you're a footballer or something, right? For LA Galaxy.
No, the first question they ask when I say I'm from Greater Manchester is Man United or Man City. Well, I have to say Man United since I'm from Oldham. So, but I rarely watch any football these days since the time zones are so different. So, but yeah.
All right, great, Naz. So maybe now we can get some input from Terry Anwar in New York, and then we can also bring in Shafi from Saudi Arabia. I think he's based in Riyadh. So, and then to Irfan in London. So, Terry, do you want to make any quick comment? Nope, maybe you're on mute, but no problem. Okay, I think that Shafi from Riyadh, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, thanks, FT, for this and asking me to say a few words. No, I don't want to say too much. It's great to hear this from so many talents, and I think it's going to be a great platform, this. Let's see how it all develops. Inshallah, it looks very positive with so many talented people from across the world. And inshallah, I think the aim here is to sort of connect back to our roots, I guess, or whichever direction that goes. And inshallah, I'm very hopeful. There's so many people here that we can all help each other in many different ways. So yeah, I'm quite excited to see the next chapter from this. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, maybe now, maybe Tori and Tokir from the Infinity Tech team in Bangladesh can just quickly say hello and introduce themselves. They will be your point of contact. Effectively, they're the part of the management team, the support team at Pathfinder until we get a permanent staff. So maybe they can both say hello, and they've actually both been working really hard in the last 3 or 4 days with Jamal on the website. Tori and Toki, do you want to just quickly say hello?
It might be quite late there, so I mean.
Yeah, I think all I can see.
Unless they come on.
No pressure. No pressure.
I'd just like to say, because I've been working with them, they've done a great job. Not only Toki, Tori, but Krishna as well. They've only had a week and a bit to build the website, and they've been working flat out. So our thanks to them for getting the website up and running. I've got one quick. I've actually got a friend who's an artist who's just had their work commissioned by the Natural History Museum. So I forgot the lady's name who was
Antara.
Yeah, Antara. So yeah, I'm more than happy to put her in touch with Tina, and I'm sure she could guide her. Also, my friend Roshan, he's actually in Manchester. He's actually a scientist. He's a bit of a paradox because he's an artist as well as a scientist. He's actually published a work which is actually in the British Library. It's been indexed in the British Library of Bangladeshi artworks and poetry. And I'll share that later on with Proshan's permission. But he also has a lot of contacts with artists, both in the UK and in Bangladesh as well. So maybe if we get together, set up a group, we can create some type of platform whereby they can share their artwork.
Okay, great, Jamal. Thanks for that suggestion. I think Irfan, we're almost done, everybody. So I think we're at the 2-hour mark, so we won't drag on too much longer. But let me bring in Irfan, who's, I'm a bit biased because he's my business partner on Infinity Technology, but I wanted to introduce to Irfan. He's a, extremely talented developer. And I wanted to also make, again, maybe it's a broader observation, humble suggestion, which is that sometimes, you can knock me or any Irfan or anybody else in the group, we can give, it can be all the way from some informal feedback on a business idea or giving some technology feedback, all the way to developing a technology platform for you to being business partners. So it's a very flexible collaboration. But Irfan, do you want to just come on and say hello?
Yeah.
We have we're working on a lot of different technology platforms in the UK, from fintech, payment systems, order management system, loyalty points, blockchain, AI. So there's a lot of different things that Irfan has done in the past. So I just wanted to introduce him to the group, and he's a very a valuable resource. Irfan, do you want to just quickly jump on?
Yeah, hello. Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, while I was actually learning a lot during the meeting, and as Iftibai said, that we are working a couple of interesting solutions, and we are always open. I'll be always happy if anywhere I can advise or I can contribute, whether it's a technology or it's something where the solutions or product design is required to speed up the new opportunities. So count me in and just text me that where I need to be and when I need to join. I'll be happy to help.
Okay, thanks so much, Irfan. We'll definitely have you much more actively engaged on the restaurant and retail technology webinar we're going to have on April the 9th. So I think we're almost done here. Is there anybody I know or anybody else that hasn't spoken that would like to make a comment? Again, no obligation to speak if you're not comfortable. There'll be lots of opportunities in future webinars to also speak. Does anybody else want to make any comment? Ainul or Nusrat or anybody?
Yeah. I've sat through the whole thing and I actually found it absolutely inspiring that there is a lot of talent, a lot of opportunity. It's galvanizing. The next step for us is how to galvanize all this and get it working productively, as opposed, and not letting this opportunity go. So really looking for leadership, Ifti, because you're the leader for us to get all us working hard and serving.
I think there's a collective. I'd say collective leadership. But I think Ainul, can you just introduce yourself as well?
Sure.
Because not everybody know your background.
I am Ainul Islam. I'm from London. I'm a city person, accountant, investments background. Been in the city for 20 years. I've now moved into blockchain and AI. I work servicing as a business manager for a private credit function. I've got an IT firm that I set up with my cousin in Bangladesh. We've developed lots of software for various people. We want to now take them to the next step, and we're looking at opportunities, how we do that. We get wonderful ideas. The number of talent that I've seen while being engaged in Bangladesh is amazing. And it every day surprises me. Students at NSU are particularly a nice from what I've seen. But yes, looking forward to engaging with everybody and taking the opportunity, especially my key area, which is blockchain. I think it can help galvanize the local communities of Bangladesh, utilizing the right technology. And I think that's a key thing for me.
Okay, great, Ainul. And Irfan is also a blockchain practitioner, is implemented some very interesting projects on blockchain in Bangladesh that we're looking to transfer to UK projects. So we can have a separate conversation there. I also want to bring in Shah Jahan, actually, who's been listening patiently. Shah Jahan, are you there? He's a actuary in the UK. Shah Jahan, are you still on?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah,
no,
please.
It's been hello everyone. Can you hear me okay? I've got my earbuds in. I'm not sure if they work.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. You're in your fancy workspace in St Albans.
Yeah. No, this is my loft. No. I'm quite lucky to be able to work from an actual workspace rather than being cooped up at home. But no, I just want to quickly say, it's been amazing because we had a call about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But if you just followed what happened, I think someone, I think Robin Chaudhry said it's a movement, and it just feels like a movement. So many people have come together. So I think there's a lot of momentum. and a lot of opportunity here. And I'm especially sort of, I think I mentioned this on the last call as well, that it's the third generation here being inspired by what's going on in Bangladesh. But I think that connection to Bangladesh is something that's really important for the third generation, to give them a good grounding and therefore sort of a good foundation to make their way in the world, basically. I think it's really important. And you know, if you're on the ground, you do see that there's a lot of you'd be surprised about how disconnected people are from what's happening in Bangladesh. You know, they haven't been there, some of them, in their lives, or you know, have no interest in it. So I think one of the things that we could do is an outreach to the youth here, and that would be a fantastic sort of marketing thing for Bangladesh as well. So yeah, that's one of the things that I'm quite keen on.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, Shahjahan. I noticed there's a Nusrat who's on the call. So I just wanted to, if you don't feel an obligation to speak, but if you want to say something, I wanted to make sure you had the chance to do that. Nusrat, are you there? Would you like to say anything?
Is there another Nusrat in the call?
Oh no, I didn't realize. I missed. I thought it was a different Nusrat. There is actually a different Nusrat in the member group. So for some reason, I thought it was they weren't getting their chance to speak. But yeah, I think I have no concerns about you not having a chance to speak. But fair enough. So I think we've covered everybody. Is there anybody that would like to say anything that hasn't spoken? In which case, I think we've just gone over the 2-hour mark. So we can wrap up for today. The whole call is recorded, and I think that we'll be uploading it to YouTube and sharing the recording. Maybe now, Bashir Bhai, you can just give a vote of thanks to everybody, and then we can wrap up.
Thank you, Ifti. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You just spent 2 hours 10 minutes, listen patiently all the development. I would like to thank you on behalf of the excellent team we have working very hard from last few weeks, and would like to invite you, as you know, this is a pre-launching meeting today. I would like to invite you again to have your patience again and spend some time with us on 22nd of March, 4 p.m. And especially my heart goes to thank our team, who is working behind the screen, helping us to mobilize all the documentation presented you today. Thanks on behalf of the Pathfinders, and also British Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce is a great platform to be in, and looking forward to see you again. Thank you, and Ifti to you.
Okay, well, again, thanks everybody for sitting through patiently. By the way, I asked Saiful Islam, who's a mutual friend of Bunny and myself and some other people on the call. He couldn't make it today, but he said he'll make it on Monday. But he thought it would go on for at least 4 hours. So 2 hours and 10 minutes actually is towards the lower end of forecasts, the lower end of expectations. So I think given the number of the hyperactivity of the WhatsApp group, that they could have gone on much longer. But I think it's been a very productive conversation. I think everybody made, I think, very important and significant contributions. I think we managed to cover a lot of materials in 2 hours, and look forward to welcoming all of you to the webinar on Monday at 4 p.m. as Bashir Bhai mentioned. That will be, it won't be hopefully a repeat of what we've done today. That will be maybe a bit more of a discussion about the digital economy and the opportunities themselves. We can actually talk about, let's say, more strategic things. We'll have the British Chamber of Commerce, Anne-Marie Martin will be on there, the London Chamber of Commerce, former deputy head. We'll have a chance to maybe talk about specific strategic issues in terms of the post-COVID digital economy opportunities. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a good, very late night in Bangladesh, good evening in London, and probably good morning in Silicon Valley. So thanks very much, everybody, and have a great day. Thanks for taking part. Bye-bye.